Welcome everybody to the Prep1 podcast.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Welcome back. Oh, sorry, I thought we were gonna sing the whole song. But by the way, I'm your host, Ryan Vidales, with my co-host,
Jerry Alvarez,
or as we call him, the Jer Bear.
the Jer Bear.
So it's
Right.
been another exciting week. You know, the fact that we're on week 6 for the podcast. A lot's been going on, a lot of things going on in the sporting world. Some new sports are starting to get into the swing. I know golf is starting to start things off, and then you got is it
Tennis as
which
well.
tennis is it? Is it team or singles or
You know what? I don't know. I do know tennis is going. Yeah, I think
we're gonna
it's
look
singles.
okay, but we're gonna look more into that as
Yeah.
well. So as soon as you guys start getting into the district rounds and playoffs, we're gonna start mentioning you all as well on the podcast because like we always mention, everybody deserves a voice, and if you show up, you ball out, you get noticed, and we put you on notice here on the podcast.
SBG.
It's big SBG. I don't even know that's how you say it, but that's what I'm gonna say. SBG.
SBG.
But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Before we get into the high school stuff, I want to give a shout out to the UTEP Miners.
Woo!
Big win, man, on that Friday night.
I know.
While everybody was watching Friday night football, Friday night lights, big things going on at the Sun Bowl Stadium with the UTEP Miners, and they got it done against Boise. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was already jumping off the ship and starting to look forward to next year, but who knows?
I mean,
maybe
I think it was a good weekend for the Miners. They had a win. They got a coach fired. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was pretty good.
and it wasn't one of their coaches.
And it wasn't
either.
a UTEP coach that got fired either.
Mhm.
Exactly.
They got a Boise State OC. I think it was Boise State's OC got fired off of the performance that they had. But you know what?
Yeah, I was gonna say, one thing we're also we want to start doing so you all can help us out here is bringing in more information on previous athletes from here in El Paso that are in the college ranks right now doing their thing. Right now, a huge shout out right here locally from Isleta High School, Ray Hernandez.
Flores.
Big things. Flores, I'm sorry, Flores.
Yeah,
Ray Flores.
Ray Flores.
But different Ray. Ray Flores, wide receiver for UTEP, starter. He's one of their biggest threats to anybody out there. Really, he's SBGing out there big time with the UTEP Miners.
Yeah, you know what? And in this past game against Boise, he even went a little bit at running back, and he got his first career touchdown. Running one in, I think it was from like 3 yards out, but good for him. Deion Hankins also had a good game rushing. So the El Paso guys, making it notice. But so just wanted to give a quick shout out to them before we get into the high school stuff, and we'll get right into it as soon as we play the intro.
Yes, sir.
Well, and we're back. Things are, like I said, getting ready to go full swing, and we're gonna dive right into it like usual. Jerry starts us off with the cross country info from the past week and things of next week. Go ahead, take it away, Jerry.
Yes, sir. Cross country, and it's getting down to the wire here in the cross country world here and locally. This past weekend, we had a couple of big not district meets, but big meets previewing your district that's going to happen in a couple of weeks, actually. So I thought that was pretty cool that they're able to put these two meets together to kind of give them a little bit of an idea of how their competition's going to stack up instead of just going up against a whole bunch of different schools at different classifications. Now you're going to go up against who you're going to see in that district level. So let's start off right quick here with the Class 5A district preview for the boys. Okay, you have Miles Westbrook out of El Paso taking the top spot with a 15-14. This is the course, 2.7 miles. You had Leo Valenzuela out of El Paso as well, taking that second spot at 15:22. And then out of Burgess, you had Matthew Guerra with a 15:37. One thing I wanted to mention to you, Ryan, I kind of saw through a grapevine. I don't know how accurate it was, but I saw some complaints about this track. So apparently there was a little bit of drama, I guess. I don't know what happened there, but apparently there were some people complaining that this track wasn't made properly. A lot of kids either got confused, they kind of did a double lap without wanting to. So some people are arguing the results,
So sort
but
of like directions and stuff weren't accurate.
yeah, I guess something like that, and they're hoping that it kind of, gets fixed by districts in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure how accurate all that was. I did see a few things through Twitter and through a grapevine like that. So I mean,
It's because what happened is they
see.
took a wrong turn on the back nine, and then they fell into a divot. So it's got to be.
Yeah, wrong
I
turn
know.
in
I was trying to
Albuquerque,
tee off.
yeah.
I was trying to tee off, and next thing you know, you see 200 runners running by me. I'm nah, I'm just kidding, but
No, but in all seriousness, hopefully, if that is true, it gets all fixed by districts. But these are the results we have right now. Honestly, they don't look too much different as what we've been seeing, and those top dogs in here. So, like I said, Miles Westbrook doing his thing, getting that first place spot. Who knows? Maybe this is a preview to a district, and he gets that district championship going into regionals. Out of the teams, you got El Paso High taking the top spot, Chapin coming in at number 2, and Burgess coming in at number 3 for the boys. We've been talking about it all year, Ryan. They're a threat. They're a big threat. Look for them things going into the cross-country playoff, if you want to call it that, playoff season.
and Chapin, coming in at number 2 there. Yeah, they don't have any racers that finished in the top 3, but it does show that their team overall consistently places up pretty high.
Yes.
Obviously didn't get a top 3 finish, but they might have, several people up like in the top 20 or something. And, that's what really, brings their team ranking up. So if they can get a runner to get, top 4, top 5, maybe that might push them up there. And El Paso got to watch out.
And that's what I've said before, and I'll say it again, Ryan, is cross country. The beauty of that sport is it's individual, but it's also a team sport. So you may not get the top 3 runner in there every time, but as an overall team, Chapin's doing something good because they're consistently being in the top 3 in the team's results. So, I mean, they're also a threat there. They're probably one of the bigger threats to El Paso than anyone else in that 5A district.
Consistency is key. Consistency is key, man, when it comes to.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. What about on the girls' side?
And now on the girls' side, we got the 5A district preview for the girls. You got Noemi Garcia out of Jefferson taking that top spot. You got Kayla Valenzuela from Burgess with a 23:11, and Isabella Villalobos out of Chapin with a 23:30. So those 3 girls right there, all within 30 seconds of each other. So that's going to be fun to watch there. In the team, you had Chapin taking over the top spot team-wise, and then El Paso coming in at number 2. So that's what I'm saying. Chapin and El Paso team-wise, they could
girls
be
and boys.
Girls and boys. They could be, those right there, just kind of neck and neck, right? It's going to come down to the wire with those 2 when it comes to district. I'm not sure who the 3rd place spot. I looked, I could not find the results. So if anyone has the results, shoot it to us so we can acknowledge that the 3rd place team out of this event on our Twitter. So please let us know. Unfortunately, I could not find who the 3rd place team out of the girls was.
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Yeah. See if you could look for. Maybe they posted it up already, but I could not find that. Well, Ryan researches that. We got the 6A preview. Okay, 6A. This is also another big one. You got Luis Pastor out of Coronado with a 16:3. You had Matthew Engel out of Franklin, 16:27, and Denovan Estrada out of Franklin with a 16:37. All these names we've heard before consistently. Marianne said it perfectly earlier. You got to stay consistent, and that's what they're doing. In the team, you got Franklin taking the top spot, Coronado number 2, and America's number 3. Again, another 3 teams staying consistent. So this is going to be fun watching how these district events stack up against each other in the 6A and in the 5A realm, moving in to see who goes on to that regional. Is it going to be a whole team or is it just going to be an individual? We don't know yet, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Is that Luis Pastor?
That's
Uh,
Luis Pastor right there. I was just about to mention
doing
that
his thing.
right there, doing his thing. So now you guys got a face to the name that we've always have him out
E-
here,
Every
putting him up
single
in
week,
our
every single
27.
week, he's consistently been top
Mhm.
10. But it's
Yeah.
definitely something good.
And again, let's say Coronado doesn't make it all the way through the state. Look for Luis to be there. He's been consistent at the top, one of those top guys in the state. For the girls, here's another top name that you're always hearing, another top one in the state. Cassandra Jimenez taking it for Montwood 2022, Abigail Piñon out of Franklin 2022, and Victoria Hoyt out of Franklin 2024. Look
Right
at
away,
those
man.
times, Ryan.
I'm looking at the that is crazy.
Yes,
Almost a photo finish between Cassandra and Abigail, and then
I wish if someone has that photo out there or that video, I would love to see it because I mean, look at that, just literally a 0.70 difference
tenths of a
right there.
second, and then 2 seconds coming behind him with Victoria.
They're
That's a neck
all
and neck race.
within it. And again, Franklin out of the teams taking it the top spot. Montwood being led by Cassandra right there, taking number 2, and America's number 3. Again, consistent. Individually, look for Cassandra to really make a name for herself out there in the state. That's one of the top runners, and also Abigail right behind her. Okay, we'll talk about the Franklin teams in a little bit, but right now, team wise, Franklin's the top dogs, but individual wise, right now, Cassandra's the one to beat. Going forward right here, you got the boys results now. This one was just kind of a regular meet, more so 3A, 4A type people. You had a few 5A. So those previous meets I just mentioned, like I said, there's somewhat of a preview, but not all the schools were in there. So come district, the actual district meet, you may actually see some of these schools that weren't in that one pop up out of nowhere and actually make a name for themselves or something. So that's also another exciting thing to see. You know, a
I got a
sleeper, if you
question.
want
I
to
got
say.
a.
Go ahead. What's up? What's up?
Hey man, before I know you're about to get into it, but
Mm-hmm.
something's popping off at me immediately when I'm looking at these results.
Mm-hmm.
Is this is for real? These are legit results.
These are legit results.
So Daniel Romero let one slip on him this time, huh?
I was about to get into that.
I'm
So,
almost had a heart attack, man.
and here's another thing that I'm going to repeat myself on. It's a sport that's individual. It's also a team, but you can compete against your own teammates. In football, you don't compete against your own teammates other than in practice. In basketball, you don't do that. In baseball, you don't do that. But in track and field and in cross country, you're literally competing against your own teammates when you come out to these events. Angel Torres takes the top spot, overtaking Daniel Romero, who's been the top dog all year, and not just overtaking him by
By
almost
ease.
45 seconds.
I
So,
mean,
I mean,
I assume this has to be like a PR for Angel, man, or because
I don't know. And then also one thing you have to remember, Ryan, every cross country course is different. It's
yep.
not like in track where you have 4 laps is a mile no matter where you run it. In cross country, and you'll see it right now. And I mentioned earlier, you had like the 2.7 miles, you have the 2K results, you have the 5K results. So it's just it varies. It just depends on the course, what course the host is making. And
Right.
so on this one, Angel Torres got the better of Daniel here. Maybe Daniel was having an off day or something. I don't know. Don't take anything away from Angel because Angel's always been right there, right with him.
Oh yeah,
So
no, I mean
look for
I
these two
love it.
guys. Hey, there's a reason why Tornillo's a threat in the state of Texas, and it's these two right here. And they're going to continue doing this going into district, regional, and that state, and look for them to compete with each other at that state level.
Hey, you gotta love it when one of your best competitions that you go up against week in and week out is your own teammate, man. That can only push you to
Oh,
get
yeah.
better.
Mm-hmm. And then take nothing away from also Michael Castañeda out of Parkland getting that third place spot at a 17-19. So he was right there too. Don't take anything away from these kids. They're always competing every week. In the team results, obviously you have number 1, Tornillo taking the top spot, number 2, Beller, and number 3, Canotillo. Canotillo, we've said quite a few times, boys and girls. So that's one of those teams to look for in that 5A district to really see, maybe they'll show up, and do something. Moving forward to the girls' results out of this one, as you can see right there, the 2K, it was a 2K route, 2K track. You have Camila Luna out of Riverside with a 14:23. You had Jeanette Rivera out of the Young Women's Academy with a 14:49, and Hillary Hernandez out of Riverside with a 14:58. Right there, all staying right within each other right there again, Ryan. So, great competition there. Good job for these girls showing up, balling out, getting noticed. SBG. Teams-wise, you had Riverside taking the top spot, Fort Hancock taking number 2, and Young Women's taking number 3. And I want to go shout out to Young Women's. We've mentioned them before of being a part of a meet, but we haven't really seen them do something.
Got to mention names. Really haven't got to.
We haven't been able to mention a name. We haven't mentioned the team into doing something. And congrats on this one. You got second place finish with Jeanette, and then you have a number 3 spot finish in the teams. So who knows? Maybe they're turning their season around a little bit.
Shout out to the Young Women's Leadership Academy.
Shout out. And who knows? Like I said, maybe this is their turnaround, and they're coming up, and we might mention their names again. We'll see. Now this is the 5K, as I mentioned. Okay, you see, the last one was a 2K, same meet. Now this is the 5K track.
So you can have same schools competing against. Are they all different?
What do you mean?
Oh, my bad. Sorry, it's because I saw the Riverside Clint thing because it's double host. But okay, so
no, yes, it is. But that's what I'm saying. It's a different course. So let me go back one time. Okay, you got the 2K track right there. This is the 5K. Right there. So the previous one, they ran the 2K. Those are your winners for the 2K. Here's your winners for the 5K.
I'll run the 2K. I'll run the 2K. I'm not about to go do it.
I'll do it, but probably in my truck. Anyways, you got the 5K. You got the 5K here. You got Natalie Rivera taking the top spot. Natalie's another name we've mentioned quite a few times from Canotillo with a 20:37. You got Kylene Elias out of Tornillo. Elias. 21:58, and Elizabeth Aguirre out of Hanks 22:01. Hanks is another one that's up and coming. They've turned their season around, I believe. So look for them to do big things going into the playoff season for cross country. Team wise, you got number 1 Canotillo, number 2 Hanks, and number 3 Bel Air. Like I just said, Hanks and Canotillo, those are 2 teams you got to look out for. Yeah, I really think we're gonna, really see them push these other top dogs to their limits. So it's coming down to the wire, Ryan. Like I said, in a couple of weeks, we got that district coming up. So we'll see what happens. Now, Sanelli, you notice that we didn't mention Sanelli boys. That's because they weren't at these meets. They were actually at McNeil Invitational. That was over in Round Rock, Texas. This was a big meet. I could not see, but there was a lot of schools. It was kind of similar. It wasn't 400 schools like what Eastwood did out in California, but this one was easily like 150 schools or so. But all that central East Texas area there,
and they're showing up.
Exactly. The SPG, because in the silver division, right there, you got Chris Moreno from San Eli taking the top spot at 15:22. And then Julian Guerra right there. There's their picture right there. Both those boys leading their team in the 10th spot at 15:52. That shows you how close this field was, because Guerra got a 10th place at a 15:52, 30-second difference from Moreno. That's all it was, a 30 seconds. So they were all right there. So look at
10 runners within 30 seconds. That's crazy.
Nicholas Urquides, I believe that's how you say it. I don't know. That's not Austin from here. That's legit Austin High School out of Austin, Texas.
Okay, I was about to say the same thing. I was like, that's a name I have not.
He is not from El Paso. He is from Austin, Texas. Austin High School from Austin, Texas. He ran a 15:27. So Chris had a 5-second lead on him. So I mean, Chris Moreno doing big things right there. Look for Sanelli to make a run at that state title again. We'll see. Hopefully they bring it back. Now, moving forward to this week's events. Okay, those were last week. This week, On Friday, you got the Desert Twilight Invitational, Franklin, Eastlake, Del Valle, Socorro, Hanks, Tornillo, Sanelli, Eastwood. I'm sure they might add some more schools in there, but for right now, that's all they have. It's going to be at night, so I think these runners are so happy that that's going to happen. They're not going to be running in the early morning in the heat. They get to be under the Friday night lights there. So if you're not going to go out to one of these football games, definitely go out to this. Check out these runners, especially Franklin. Like I said, we'll touch on Franklin right now. Socorro is another one. Look for those girls; they're up and coming. Okay, those Socorro girls are actually doing pretty well, and they're always right there. Now on Saturday, now you have the Coronado Invitational at 8 a.m. out of Don Haskins Park. Coronado, obviously, you have Irvin, Franklin, Andres, Chapin, Socorro, the Eldorado, Anthony, Isleta, Boys, Cathedral, Loreto, and Bowie. I know I have Franklin and Socorro at both of these events. I'm not sure which is the boys or girls, which one they're going to be at, but I do know that they're probably splitting. The girls are going to one and the boys are going to the other. So that's how that one will work out. Also Saturday, you have Clint Fabin's Invitational out at Fabin's. You got Clint Fabin's, Radford, Montwood, Isleta Girls, Young Women Leadership Academy, Eastwood, Fort Hancock, Riverside, Clint. You got the Nike South at 7 a.m. in Houston, the Woodlands. All right, out there representing El Paso. You got Del Valle, San Pebble Hills, Montwood, Americas making the trek all the way across the state to represent West Texas out there. So this is going to be great going into district and regionals. It's going to give them a great look into what to expect moving forward as we end out this cross-country season. And lastly, we have Mayfield Invitational at 8 a.m. You got Austin, Jeff, and Burgess going up to Las Cruces for that one. So a lot of meets this week, a lot of potential, show outs to come up. People have a lot of chances to SBG out there. And I'm really going to look forward to seeing the results coming up. And, good luck to all you runners out there, especially those going out to Houston. Safe trip. Get out there, ball out, and show the rest of the state what El Paso has got. Now, this week's top 10 cross country. Okay, I had mentioned earlier about Franklin. Franklin takes our number one spot in the boys and girls. I'll get into the girls in a second, but the number one spot of the boys and girls because they both currently sit at number 5 in the state on both rankings. Wow. So they are getting the respect they deserve. They are showing up, they're balling out, they're getting noticed, and they're getting noticed by the state, and they are number 5 currently. Number 2 in the boys, you got Eastwood. Unfortunately, dropped out of the top 10 in the state. I'm not sure exactly why, but that's the rankings they got right now. But right now, they are number 2 here on Prep1. They are doing great. Look for them to do big things come to state. Coronado's right behind them. Pebble Hills. San Elizario kind of dropped a little bit. Haven't had such a strong showing. Okay. Unfortunately, also the state noticed it. They got dropped to number 4 in the state, but that does not take away the fact that I think they are going to be there at the state championship, bringing it back when it comes down to it. And I think, they are a threat to really look out for. El Paso High is number 6. We already talked about them being a threat. Number 7, Tornillo is also number 9 in the state. They're being recognized. They're kind of just teetering right there, but really look for them to possibly as a team really, maybe bring one home as well. So we got 3 potential, I think, state champions coming out of the boys there. You got Americas at number 8, number 9, Chapin, who's been consistent, and number 10, Bel Air. Now in the girls, you have Franklin. We already said number 5 in the state. You had Eastwood, Pebble Hills, Eastlake, Montwood being led by Cassandra Jimenez, and they are doing great. Look for them to continue doing good. El Paso High at number 6. They're going to move up. They're going to be a threat. Look for El Paso High to possibly win it, boys and girls, in the 5A. Got Theo at number 7, number 8, Coronado, number 9, Hanks, and number 10, Americas. Hanks right there at number 9. They turned their season around, and let's see what happens come district time. And finally, our Soaring 7. Okay, here's our Soaring 7 for the Prep1 podcast. You have number 1 Franklin, boys and girls teams. What else can I say? They're showing
Number
up, they're
five, number
falling
five
out,
in the
they're
state. You
getting
can't get
noticed.
any better than that. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
obviously you can get better than that, but here in El Paso right now, that's the standard. That's the bar.
Oh, if you're getting recognized by the state out of El Paso, that is perfect
On
because
both sides, yeah.
unfortunately, El Paso doesn't get the credit we deserve, and we really got to work that extra, push that extra limit to get that notice from the state, from the rest of the state. We're the little unwanted child of the state, unfortunately, but hey, every year we prove ourselves, and that's what we want. Number 2, Sanelli, again, proving themselves every year. Look for them, the Sanelli boys, to really bring back that state title. Number 3, Tornillo, look for them to really make a run for that state title. So those top 3 right there, I really believe can bring home 3 state championships for cross country this year. Let's see if it happens. Number 4, we got Miles Westbrook showing up right there for the 5A district. He goes and takes the top spot. Number 5, Noemi Garcia takes the top spot for the girls. Luis Barzor took the top spot for the boys in 6A. Cassandra Jimenez took the top spot for the girls in 6A as well. And Miles Westbrook, consistent name we always hear. Noemi Garcia, we've mentioned her a couple of times, okay, not too many times, but she showed out, and look for her to win district again. Miles Westbrook, look for him to win district. Luis Pastor and Cassandra Jimenez, I mean, what else can I say about them that we haven't already said? And, I mean, it's just getting exciting, Ryan. Honestly, it's really getting exciting in this cross-country world. This week you got these meets. I believe next week there might be 1 or 2 meets. There might not be any. I got to double check, but the following week on the 14th, I believe, is when district meets start. So you're going to have your district meet start on the 14th. And then going right after that, you got your regionals, and then you got your state. So by the end of October, we could be crowning 3 state champs. So really look forward to that, Ryan.
Yeah, so I was about to ask you that too. I was like, how far are we
Mhm.
away from the districts and regional meets and all that? But right around the corner. I mean, this is the
Oh, yeah.
time that, you know, athletes need to make sure their injuries start healing up. They're getting their consistent times down, and they're ready to go because this is about the final trek, the last couple miles before you head up to the state competition.
SBG, people, SBG.
Show up, ball out, get noticed. You know who's been showing up, balling out, getting noticed? Our ladies on the hardwood, as always. We're gonna go right into it, and as we start into our volleyball segment, we're gonna look right into our Tuesday volleyball recap. Okay, a lot of games this past week, a lot of big games this past week. You We're going to go into some of the bigger games, if you will. El Paso High Tigers taking on a district rival in the Andress
Mhm.
Eagles. And, El Paso, brought their brooms because like they've been doing all year.
Oh,
Another sweep, another sweep. They've been doing it to district
yeah.
opponents. There's a reason why they're ranked up high on our rankings, and they're consistently getting it done week in and week
No,
out. So
the
El Paso Tigers, doing what they got to do in the district.
I believe the
Jefferson,
word of the I believe the word of the week, Ryan, is consistency, and El Paso is the definition of consistency. Dominance is another one, but that comes to mind with El Paso High. But consistency is the word, and yeah, I mean, I can't agree with you more. They are a force to reckon with.
you have let's see. So going on, Jefferson Silver Foxes, Chapin Huskies, another big one.
Mm-hmm.
District rivals right there.
Good game.
Going to 5 sets, and the Jefferson Silver Foxes, and I don't know, some might say it's an upset, some might not, but they took them to 5 sets. Jefferson comes out on top, and Chapin falls 3-2 to the Jefferson Silver Foxes. Coronado Thunderbirds do what they continue to be doing. They sweep the Socorro Bulldogs. They're top team for a reason. They're the number 1 on our Prep1 rankings week in and week out. Just goes to show you why. They're proving it every single week. Out in 4A, San Elizario Eagles and the Clint Lions had a pretty good one. Went to 4 sets. The Clint Lions won that one 3-1. Back in 6A, the El Dorado Aztecs fall to the Mount Wood Rams in another sweep.
Mm.
And like I tell you, it's been funny because
Yeah.
that 6A district, every every week that 6A district is something to watch. You never know what's going to happen.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, it's college football in 07 all over again, man.
Yeah.
No one is safe. No one is safe.
No better example than right here. You had the Eastwood Troopers taking down the Franklin Cougars 3-1, okay? In a game that, I think people were trying to finally say Franklin was going to, run away with this one. They were probably solidifying themselves as that number 2 team in District 6A, but Eastwood has a thing to say about it, and they come out, they do what they got to do, and Eastwood takes down Franklin 3-1. Bowie and Austin in a thriller on Tuesday night. That one went down to 5 sets with the Austin Panthers coming out on top. They got a lot of players. You're going to see one of their players in our Soaring 7. She's been in a couple times already, and you're going to see why. Another big matchup in District 5A, you had the Burgess Mustangs taking on the Canutillo Eagles on Tuesday. Burgess pretty much all over the Canutillo Eagles, 3-1. Burgess has been that team right behind El Paso Tigers, kind of, right at their heels, maybe not sweeping every single opponent, but they're getting it done consistently, and they're right behind them. Those are going to be those key matchups. Looking at the Friday's results, okay? Eastwood gets another big win over the Eastlake Falcons. They sweep the Falcons, so they come up with 2 big victories in district over the weekend. Again, like I said, the El Paso Tigers took out their brooms once again and continue to sweep the district as they've been doing all year long. Coronado Thunderbirds took one page out of the El Paso Tigers book, brought their brooms as well as they swept the Mountainwood Rams. Moving on, you have a big one with Riverside getting victory. They've been a little down this year, but you know what? And finally playing some of the actual Class 4A teams, teams in their district. They got one over the Mountain View Lobos, 3-1. A lot of big stats in that game. We'll get to that later, but shout out to them. They did a good job in that one. Hanks pulls their second win in that week as they get a sweep over the Horizon Scorpions. Right. Franklin Cougars bounce back after that loss to the Eastwood Troopers and sweep the El Dorado Aztecs. You have a 5-set match between the Isleta Indians and the Bel Air Highlanders, and the Indians of the Lower Valley, man, they come out on top. They take it to the Bel Air Highlanders in a very good hard-fought match. Once again, like I said, Burgess Mustangs right at the heels of the El Paso Tigers, and they're showing why, sweeping the Chapin Huskies. And in the Battle of the Eagles come out victorious. And which Eagles, you might ask? The Andrus Eagles. Eagles win over the Canutillo Eagles 3-1. A lot of big games, a lot of things going on, which is why we have some ladies that we want to mention this week. Okay, so I'm going to start off by going over number 1. From Pebble Hills High School, you have Ariana Helbling. She had 43 assists, Jerry, 43 assists, 7 digs, and 3 aces in a win versus the Eastlake Falcons. I believe this was a sweep as well, but, that just goes to show you some of these stellar performances. And this is one that we haven't heard her name. I mean, she's been doing consistent things, but finally, having a really huge game where we actually get to take notice. This girl I mentioned a couple weeks already, and again, I told you earlier on in my what I was talking about the games, Austin High School's Zoe Natara. She's been in like 3 weeks already. 14 kills, 12 assists, 9 digs, and 3 aces in that big 5-set matchup against the Bowie Bears. Won 3-2, and a big part of that was Zoe's performance. We, like you said, we've been mentioning it. Kind of the theme of the show has been consistency. She's been one of the most consistent players all year long. One of those where you can't not put her in the Soaring 7 because she's getting it done and helping her team out in more ways than one.
Oh, yeah.
Name we haven't really heard this year out of Del Valle High School, Karime Alvarez.
Hey, okay. No relation.
No relation. And she's the better athlete, right, of the Alvarez? Nah, I'm just kidding.
Probably.
They better volleyball athlete at least.
Hey, I got a 2-centimeter vertical. I do okay.
Hey, don't make me bring up the story of when we played beach volleyball out in where was that in Cloud
Hey,
Crop or
hey, I scored a point, did I not? All right, that's all that matters.
yeah, and a torn ACL. No, I'm just kidding. So, like I mentioned, out of Del Valle High School, Karime Alvarez, 2 aces, 16 assists, and 17 digs in a win versus the Parkland Matadors, a district win. So these are where these performances are really going to start being able to count for something. Okay, it's great to pad up those stats and stuff, but once it's in district play, this is where it really matters. It shows that moving up the standings, you're keeping your team up in the rankings. Hopefully, you get those playoff spots. Number 4, the Hanks Knights, Alexis Olmos. Okay, another new one that we haven't mentioned this season, but she's made our Prep1 podcast soaring 7. 18 assists, 3 aces, and 9 digs versus the Horizon Scorpions in a big matchup. Okay, big matchup. Hanks Knights takes down the Scorpions, and Alexis Olmos gets it done. She showed up, she balled out, and we took notice, Jerry. Number 5 on the list, and I apologize, I put an extra S there again. It's that copy and paste feature. I copy and paste. It's because extra S to make it spicy. No, I'm just kidding. But Burgess High School's Annabelle Martinez. Annabelle Martinez, 21 kills, 2 aces, and 16 digs versus the Canutillo Eagles. I had mentioned Burgess is that team that's been playing right on the heels of the El Paso Tigers, and a big reason for that is Annabelle's performances week in and week out. She showed up this week, 21 kills, 2 aces, 16 digs, and that's why she is in our soaring 7. Now, here's one that we haven't done very often. We're going to actually mention 2 ladies from the same school. Okay, and this might be a theme in this show, but you know what? Riverside Rangers get a good win. All right, and actually, I don't know if this was during their win. This might have been during their loss, but still, they had a great performance. So it was Hazel Zamora, 28 assists, 13 digs, and 6 aces. I might have got that wrong because that might have actually been in the win versus Mountain View. So if that's the case, don't send me a bunch of hate. As a matter of fact, it doesn't matter which team it was. It's the performance that we're looking at.
Yes.
So that was Hazel Zamora's 28 assists, 13 digs, and 6 aces. And her teammate, Zoe Quintana, with 12 kills, 9 digs, 4 aces, and 2 blocks. Okay. 2 players from the same team getting big stats and helping their teams go to victory. So when it all comes down to it, all of these ladies deserve a good mention. Prep1's podcast, Soaring 7. You ladies showed up, you balled out, you got noticed, and we took our notice here. Next up, we have our top 10 volleyball rankings.
Here we go.
You will see some things shaking up. Okay, the big one right there is Franklin Cougars are no longer up on the number 2 seat there. Coronado Thunderbirds, they haven't lost. They had some shaky starts in the beginning of the season, but they've showed that they've gotten things together and they're consistently, like I said, taking out the brooms, sweeping opponents, getting it done. Eastwood Troopers get that big victory over the Franklin Cougars, and they get another district win against the El Dorado Aztecs. So that bumps them up to number 2. El Paso Tigers move up to number 3. Again, consistency kills. They've been being consistent. They've been doing what they got to do, taking out their district opponents. And top seed in 5A, number 3 seed, or number 3 in our top 10. Franklin had that big loss. Could have been a hiccup.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows?
You know what I was going to say, Ryan? They had that hiccup, but then they turned it right around and swept. It was homecoming out at Franklin this week, so maybe that could have been an issue because I do know there's a lot of distractions during homecoming. As well as I do. Come homecoming week, it doesn't matter what's going on. No one really is 100% in,
Lot of distractions, a lot of things could go on, but you know what? They did what they got to do. They regrouped. That team that's on El Paso Paso's heels is the Burgess Mustangs at number 5. Like I said, slowly but steadily chasing them. Mountwood comes in at number 6. Del Valle Conquistadores, number 7. Number 8, the Pebble Hill Spartans. Number 9, the Hanks Knights. And number 10, the America's Trailblazers. On the outside looking in, we have the Clint Lions, the Isleta Indians, the Irvin Rockets, and the Loretto Angels.
Yes,
Okay, this rounds
sir.
out your Prep 1's top 10. Now, looking into this upcoming week, okay,
This is going to be interesting.
a lot of big games, Again, starting off right there, you've got that District 5A, Canutillo Eagles, Chapin Huskies. And like I said, you pretty much got it kind of solidified. El Paso number 1, you got Burgess
Mhm.
number 2, but for 3 and 4, those two final seeds, it's been a toss up. Canutillo, Chapin, Andres, Jefferson, kind of all beating each other up week in and week out. So those are going to be those games you want to look at. Going on, the Burgess Mustangs, El Paso Tigers. Obviously, that's going to be a big game. The number 1 and 2. Maybe Burgess finally, like I said, they've been chasing them all year. Maybe Burgess has what it takes to finally get one past them.
Yeah.
Jefferson and Andres. That's another big one. Jefferson has been knocking out some of these teams. They knocked out the Chapin Huskies. And you know what? It's just a matter of which teams are going to come out on top here so they can get that last 3rd and 4th seed in the playoffs. Franklin Cougars and the Coronado Thunderbirds.
There it is.
This is we've heard this story before. We've heard it many times in the year, and we've seen these teams exchange wins. So this is going to be a good one to watch Tuesday night, see who comes out victorious. I would love to say that this should be all Coronado Thunderbirds, but we've already seen this year that, anyone's game. We don't know for sure.
Just to touch on this game, Ryan, I mean, noticing from the previous week, both teams lost on Tuesday.
Then Coronado won. Coronado won.
Oh, no, Coronado won. Yes, Coronado won. Franklin lost. But then both teams won, is what I meant to say. Sorry. Both teams won on Friday. They both swept. So both of them are coming off of a big wins. And then, not to mention, is this not the rubber match for them?
I think it might be.
I believe it was Franklin that took the first meet on a Tuesday. And then that Friday or Saturday, it was a tournament, and Coronado took that one.
So I don't know. They might have already played in district again, too. No, that first one was the district game. That's right.
That one was the district game, and then the second time they played was a tournament, I believe. I believe it was for the championship in that tournament, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Coronado took that one. So I think this is the rubber match. This is the 3rd match of the year between these two.
And you know what? These ladies know each other. They're both on the west side. Some of these kids, some of these players might live right next door to each other.
Exactly. They might just live on that district line right there. And just it's fun.
Definitely an exciting one. Other big district matchups. You got Mountwood Rams versus the Americas Trailblazers, Pebble Hill Spartans and the Eastwood Troopers, and then you got the Del Valle Conquistadores and the Hanks Knights. All big games. On the Friday schedule, you've got Coronado taking on Eastlake, El Paso Tigers taking on the Chapin Huskies. Going on, let's see other big games. You got Franklin taking on the Americas Trailblazers. You know that Coronado Thunderbirds and Franklin Cougars, when they face the Trailblazers and the Falcons on Friday, one of those teams is going to be coming out hungry because someone's going to have to lose on Tuesday. So I kind of feel sorry for either the Falcons or the Trailblazers because I feel like one of these teams is going to come out ready to roll and get it done. And finally, that last game on that list, you got the Andres Eagles and the Burgess Mustangs. Again, like I said, those are those big 5A matchups where the playoffs are kind of all over the place. Who's going to take that seed? Top games to watch. We've kind of already mentioned it. Burgess Mustangs versus the El Paso Tigers Tuesday night. You got to be there. These are probably two of the biggest games of the year. Franklin Cougars and Burgess and El Paso. Franklin Coronado, Burgess, El Paso. Both Tuesday night. If you're in the area, definitely a game to watch. These are going to be
both those right there, Ryan, are two possible 1 versus 2 district matchups right there, determining who's going to be the top one for those 1 and 2 spots coming at the end of the year.
And all teams in our Prep 1's top 10. So big games. Like I said, you got America's Franklin on Friday, Andres Burgess also on Friday. 2 big games that you want to watch. But overall, just a lot of exciting things going on when it comes to volleyball. A lot of stuff to watch. These ladies been showing up. They've been balling out. They've been getting noticed. And, as district starts rolling to an end and stuff, and they start getting ready for playoffs, it's crunch time for them in volleyball.
Oh,
You know, playoff seedings are the playoff picture starting to clear a little bit. You can kind of see
mhm.
who's going where, and this is gonna start getting exciting. You know, that's the one cool thing is that they play 2 games a week, so
Yeah.
you get a lot of stats, a lot of potential, a lot of things
A
going on
lot
right
of
away.
turnarounds, a lot of upsets, a lot of just uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. We try.
Yeah,
Thank God we're not giving predictions on volleyball. Could you imagine, man,
I know.
how off we would be on those?
I'd
Yeah,
swear we'd have more wrong than right.
0 and 56 or something. No, I'm just kidding. But now going into it, you know, football's Friday Night Lights. That's the
Ooh,
I guess if you want to say we saved the best for last, it's the most
yes,
exciting one for both of us. As former football
we're
coaches,
we're
and
getting over that hump there
yeah, no, it's right
already,
there.
going
Uh,
fast.
and honestly, this was a good week of football because this is one of those last weeks before a lot of the teams start taking their bye weeks and things like that, and the schedules start
Mhm.
kind of weeding out for a couple weeks before you get to the
And
very end of the schedule and things get real heated and we get
and
to see.
also the way the districts were made up this year, Ryan. Up until this point, the only teams that have started district play, I believe, was 6A.
Mhm.
Everyone else, I think, either in the next week is when almost everyone else is gonna start their
Yeah,
district
I mean, for
play.
the
So
exception of 4A still's got some big matchups and stuff. But the cool thing about that though is that these 4A teams, because everybody's already going to district
mhm.
next week or taking buys and stuff next week, there's really no longer teams in the El Paso area for these 4A teams to play. So now is the
Oh,
time
yeah.
where you get to see our 4A teams traveling and playing some of the competition
It
outside of El Paso. And
and
that's really exciting to see
oh,
because
yeah.
now, for the longest time, we haven't really gotten a chance to see some of these teams that the 4As are scheduling now and stuff on a consistent basis. So
Mhm.
this is going to be interesting. So we'll
It's
get
gonna be
into that
fun.
when we go into the schedule.
Yes.
But just let's run down the scoreboard. You had Hanks Knights getting defeated by the Burgess Mustangs 27-7. Now, something to note, and I believe it was the Hanks quarterback. I think he's injured and I think he's out for the year now. So that
Oh,
could be
wow.
a big reason why Hanks
Yeah.
is kind of followed. They had some big victories and they were kind of showing some progress.
Yeah.
I know, it wasn't their quarterback, it was their running back. I think it was Xavier Johnson. I think he's the one that's out for the year, hoping
Mhm.
if he's out now, from what I hear, the injury is actually going to keep him out for wrestling as well. So that's a big loss there.
Ooh.
Hopefully he can make it back by track season and at
Yeah.
least, try to raise his stock because he is a senior. Uh, big shout out to him. Hopefully, he gets recovered quickly, but that's going to be a big loss for the Hanks Knights. He carried a lot of load in the running back position for him. So
Yeah.
definitely. America's Trailblazers and the East Lake Falcons. That was a Thursday night
Oh.
game, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, Thursday night. That was Thursday night at the SAC, and man, that was a good game. We're hearing
Big,
the updates. Oh,
big game. And you know what? We didn't give this person a mention in our Soaring 7 spoiler alert, but
mhm.
you gotta give a shout out to senior kicker Julian Melucci. Man, Julian Melucci has been uh
The kicker?
the kicker, man.
The
I mean, from East Lake
kicker?
Falcons. Keep in mind, this kid has started for the East Lake Falcons since his freshman year, and he's had some big, last second victories, some deep field goals, things like that all year long. Also, is stellar out in the soccer
Mhm.
field, right? Go figure.
Yep.
But as time ticks away, I think it was a 42-yard field goal to win it. So East Lake's down in this game.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're down. Julian Mayucci comes in crunch time, doesn't get nervous, doesn't sweat
Yeah.
it, nails it through the uprights, and gets the victory for the East Lake Falcons. This kid, I really want people to take notice on him. He's a
Mhm.
great kicker. He attends a bunch of camps. Hopefully, he gets one of those scholarships so he can either,
Yeah.
if not to be a kicker in college somewhere, even for soccer, I want to see
Soccer.
this
Mhm.
kid. I want to see this kid playing at the collegiate level in one sport or the other. So
You
shout
know,
out to Julian Manucci.
yeah, and shout out to him, and shout out to all the kickers out there, because just like kind of we kind of did it just now, but you all don't get your recognition until you actually kick that game winner, unfortunately. But if it wasn't for you guys, half these games it wouldn't even be close. You wouldn't even be in the game. We're team. So shout out to all the kickers out there, doing your thing, always just kind of hidden in the back. And I mean, just keep doing your thing, guys, and you show up, you ball out, you'll get noticed. Promise you that.
Mhm. Now we go to that second row of games there, and this was a brutal one for the El Paso teams. Fabens drops one to La Mesa. Isleta Indians get handed to them by the Fort
Ooh.
Stockton Panthers. Isleta was a team that looked like they were going to start off pretty strong. They had that close one with Riverside before they just kind of fell off.
Yeah.
So they obviously they just got some things they got to fix, especially when it gets down to district play.
Oh yeah.
Andress Eagles go out to Grande Communication
Oof.
Stadium out in Midland and get, just pummeled by the Midland Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Obviously, Midland got way too much firepower for the Eagles to handle. And if I believe I saw this on Twitter, I think honestly this was the most points Midland has put up in I think like 10 years or something.
Wow.
There was a stat like that. They haven't put up 74 in so many years. So you hate when you're that team that gets to be on the opposite end of those stat things, but you got to give credit where credit is due. Midland's a solid team. And Tornillo Coyotes, man, go out there and suffer a tough one against Crane. That's
Crane's one of those top dogs in the state, but still,
and we were out here for this game, the Battle of the Claw, Jerry. I'm
yes,
gonna let
sir.
you give me your recap on this one for the Battle of the Claw. We were both out there, but tell me your take. Give me what you got.
I thought this game honestly was going to be a lot closer than what the score suggests right there. But I give props big time to Austin. They were my pick. What's up? So I mean, I had Austin to win this one. I thought it was going to be a lot closer, but Austin just dominated the game from the get-go. I mean, they ran the ball well. When they hardly passed it, but when they passed it, they did that well too. Defensively, they were stopping this El Paso offense just beautifully. There was one play that I believe just kind of solidified the win for Austin, and that was an 80-yard interception return by the Austin Panthers.
Israel
I
Luna,
believe it was. I'm sorry.
It was like Israel Luna or somebody Luna.
I think so. I think it was Luna that took it back, if I'm not mistaken. And he read it perfectly, got underneath the receiver, picked it off, took it 80 yards. If you want to see that play, it's on our TikTok. The Prep1 podcast.
Give the shout out.
Give video of it. Shout out to the Prep1 podcast TikTok. Go to it, follow, like, and you can see that video there. It's up on there. And it was just a great game by Austin all around. They just dominated both sides of the ball. El Paso High couldn't really figure out. El Paso High drove the ball a couple of times, and then the Austin defense showed up and stopped them. So honestly, first quarter was back and forth, but Austin was the key, was just dominant in this one.
Yeah, definitely. First quarter, you thought it could go either way. Second quarter, the Panthers put like 2 in, and I think it was like 21-7 at the time.
Yeah.
And I believe El Paso drove, and it was looking like maybe they were going to see some progress. And then, the drive gets killed. And after that point, it was just kind of like the wheels fell off,
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it too, you got to give the credit to the Tigers too. I mean, when they came out, they did what they could. Believe they were starting a sophomore quarterback at the time because their senior starting quarterback, Jerry Chidas, did not play. Seems like he's going to be out for a while. So, that's, losing your starting quarterback, that takes a lot out of a team too. I mean, you and I both know as coaches.
Once
that goes down, sometimes, it's not like these El Paso teams have loaded depth where it's like, we have 2 stellar quarterbacks. Some schools might, but not everyone, So, and the sophomore quarterback is going to go through his growing pains. But Battle of the Claw went to the Austin Panthers. Shout out to them. Shout out to Jaden Wilson. Had a great game too. So, going up next, you have the Riverside Rangers on homecoming night all over the Horizon Scorpions. Definitely not going to be the team that you want to play. You don't want to play the Riverside Rangers on homecoming night. You don't want to be that team. They're so much offensive firepower, 65-13 all over them. Clinton Lions taking it to the Irvin Rockets. They got a young roster this year, Irvin Rockets, and got a lot of growing pains.
Yeah.
Not going to get any easier for them as they start approaching district play for them too. They got to
No,
go through Austin. I mean, they got to go through Austin, Riverside. It's going to be tough.
I mean, you said it right there, Ryan. Irvin has a very young roster. That is the definition of rebuilding right there. You get young guys, you get them in your program, you got to go. So there's no way to look for the Irvin Rockets except up, and honestly, these Irvin Rockets, I think if they really take this season as a lesson and this season as a building block, we could look at Irvin and being a threat in the next couple of years with this young squad, because they do have a very young squad. So look for these guys to really have that bad taste in their mouth that would just want to
4A too. So
and just take it out on everyone. So in the next coming years, unfortunately, I don't think it's this year, but Irvin, I'm calling it right now. Look for them in the next couple of years to really do some damage.
So are you excited about this next one? Your Irish get the win over the Sun LA Eagles, 33-28.
A little bit. I mean, the thing. Here's the thing about Cathedral, Ryan, and you know as well as I do. What's our word of the day, kids?
Consistency.
Consistency, and unfortunately, Cathedral, that word only exists every so often.
This year, consistency.
Exactly, they lack it. And this year, it's kind of like that. I mean, one week they're dominant, and then the next week they're and then last week that game against Anthony wasn't their best, and then this week they come out and they just completely, the score doesn't show it, but Cathedral really took it to Sanelli. It's kind of hard to judge this Cathedral team. And it's really exciting, so, and as an ex-alum, I love following them. And it's great. It's just that this year, I don't know. It's just kind of hard to judge week in and week out how they're gonna do, who's gonna do what. But I mean, it's great to see them winning. It's fun to see them winning. But like I said, are they gonna win next week? Are they gonna win the following? It's flip of the coin. That's all you can do with these guys. Flip the coin, and but good job taking it to Sanelli out there. Driving all the way across the county to do that. We've taken those trips way too often.
Moving on, we got a couple blowouts. Franklin 70 all over Socorro Bulldog 0. It's gonna be tough, man, all year long for the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Del Valle Conquistadores taking it to the Chapin Huskies 36-0. Chapin are not who we thought they were, man. They I was expecting a whole lot more for them, but they've just lacked fight. Maybe maybe there's issues there we got to see. Pebble Hill Spartans doing what they do, taking down the Cornell Thunderbirds 49-20. And I got to issue out an apology to Mountain View's Lobos DJ Check. I voted against them with that. In Santa Teresa, there's the Warriors, but they completely handled them 50-14.
Oh,
El Dorado Aztecs, Eastwood Troopers in that 6A matchup. You had a offensive show with the Eastwood Troopers just showing that they have too much offense to handle, which I mentioned that in our predictions too. I said, both teams are going to score points, but I think Eastwood just has way too much offensive firepower for El Dorado to handle. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
Bel Air Highlanders continue to stay undefeated as they beat the Jefferson Silver Foxes 35-7.
Yeah, now, and Bel Air's already, now they're starting to get into their schedule where they're starting to see these teams that are a little more competitive, and Jefferson's one of those teams.
Yeah, they've done what they needed to do. They've beaten who they should have. Yes. And let's be honest, Jefferson's probably a team that they should have beaten too.
Oh, yes.
So, at 35-7 victory, good. But now we got to see. Can they take on Del Valle? Can they take on the Parkland Matadors? Can they take on, those are the games now that it's going to be key and see.
Oh, yeah.
How are they really?
And that's the thing, Ryan, is Jefferson is not a rollover team either. Jefferson has proven themselves to be a pretty good opponent to have up. Now, do they measure up to Del Valle? Do they measure up to Canotillo? Do they measure up to these teams? Not necessarily, in my opinion, but they're not a rollover team, and Bel Air really just rolled over them. So Bel Air's showing that they got some firepower out there.
Another team that's been rolling, man, having a stellar year, the Anthony Wildcats.
Yes,
down the Bears. You went and watched them live. Anthony
Yeah.
Solis, Angel Solis, right? Angel Solis,
Angel
uh,
Solis. Yes.
Raymond. Them, all of them
hmm
doing their thing, doing what they got to do, taking it to the Bowie Bears and getting a big victory for them, 21-12. The Canutillo Eagles, showing why they should be up there in one of the top teams, taking down the Parkland Matadors 35-7.
hmm
So big exciting week of football last week. Big matchups, big victories. Going on now, we've got our Prep1 football soaring 7. I'm gonna let you go ahead and start this one off.
All right, let's start this one because Mountain View, Texas high school football, Ryan, right there, took it to Sanity big time. And Sanity is one of those top dogs in the state of New Mexico right now. But they were led by the wide receiver Hansel Hernandez with 7 receptions, 169 yards, and 3 TDs in that 50-point score over the Sanity Desert Warriors. And he's a leader out there, Mountain View. He's one of these sleeper teams. They're doing good, and shout out to Hernandez right there. Making a big game and a big win.
These next two, man, these two players were making me have to type two. I was about to start a paragraph for them, but that's what happens when they get it done on all sides of the field. But number 2, you've got Riverside's quarterback, Angel. I don't even know if I call him quarterback. Quarterback, return man, safety, wide receiver. I guess he's the true definition of an athlete. When you say
athlete right there,
you see the athlete listed on the roster. I should change that. Athlete, Angel Speedy Munoz.
Yep.
On homecoming night, 18 for 21 through the air, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, 9 carries, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns, even takes a kick return to the house for 90 yards. He did every single thing he could possibly do in that victory over Horizon, and that's why he's featured on our Prep1 Soaring 7. Angel Speedy Munoz, shout out to you.
Number 3, you got Eastwood, another name you've heard quite a bit. QB Evan Minjares. He went 9 for 25.
I think that was 19 for 25. I'm pretty sure it's a typo.
I was about to say 9 for 25. That's not that great, but 19 for 25.
I mean, if he did, Jesus Christ, 100 yards.
So I was about to say, I'm like, he made it. He did it when he counted, but no, 19 for 25, 357 yards, touchdown, 17 carries for 159 yards and 2 TDs versus El Dorado. So, I mean, this guy, you talked about that offensive firepower that Eastwood has, and this is the spear point on that weapon that they got out. Look for him to do big things moving forward.
Definitely. You know what, man? Angel Munoz and Evan, man, you guys got to take a chill pill. Okay, let's calm down.
I know, man. I know. She's typing all this.
I don't have enough. I don't have enough space on these slides to put the stats in. Number 4, you have Bel Air's wide receiver Chris Davis, 9 receptions, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he got it done on the opposite side of the ball on defense, 10 tackles versus the Jefferson Silver Foxes. Shout out Chris Davis getting it done both sides of the ball and helping your team go 5-0.
Yeah, you gotta love these Iron Man football players. That's just pure Iron Man football. And for you all that don't know that term, Iron Man football is just your traditional, you play offense and defense. And if you're able to put up numbers like this, both offense and defense, in nowadays, I mean, you're doing great. You're doing perfect.
Traditionally now you'll see it more like in 4A, 3A, 2A, those levels that, where they don't have 50, 60 kids on the rosters. Sometimes that's what you got to do.
Oh, yeah. Number 5, out of Anthony, you got linebacker Omar Lujan with 11 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovery against the Bowie Bears. Anthony, we mentioned already, they are rolling right now. They're doing great. They are that team that just popped up out of nowhere, which we love. They're SBGing out there, and that defense, I saw them firsthand. They are as good as they sound, and this is one of their leaders right there, so this does not surprise me. And, shout out to Anthony Wildcats with Omar Lujan. And this is the second week in a row we get an Anthony Wildcat up on the Soaring 7.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that. Number 6, out of Austin High School in the Battle of the Claw, you had running back, linebacker, UNM commit Jaden Wilson getting it done all over the field, man. He looked
Man,
like
he
a
was
man
fun to
amongst
watch.
boys in that game, to be quite honest with you. 18 carries, 209 hard-earned yards, 3 touchdowns, and 9 tackles on the defense side. Like you said,
Yeah.
Iron Man football, and he got it done, winning the Battle of the Claw versus the El Paso High Tigers.
Oh yeah. Now this one, number 7. This is what I like. Okay.
That's why you get excited for this one.
Yes, like I was waiting for this one. I was waiting for this one. So, as a former lineman coach myself, I just want to say lineman is possibly one of the most important positions on the field that never gets recognition. You got your Aaron Jones, you got your Angel Munoz's, your Evan Mijares, you got all these guys, you got your Jaden Wilsons.
But
Putting
who
up these
opens the
stats.
holes?
Who makes the holes exactly? Who does this? I'll tell you who. Who's got Angel Munoz's back? You got offensive lineman Devin Quintana out of Riverside with 10 pancakes with a little extra syrup. I like that, Ryan. I like that little
And
extra
if you
syrup,
watched,
making it nice and sweet.
I saw some highlights. He even took the shot of the syrup too.
Woo! It's love it. 486 yards of offense versus Horizon. See, and like I said, we are the people. We are the. That's why we're called linemen, and everyone backs us up. We are in the trenches. I'm telling you, Ryan, this comes from the heart. I love seeing an offensive lineman getting recognition. He's getting out there, and it goes to show it doesn't matter who you are, what position you're playing, guys. We are gonna notice you no matter what. You get out there, you kick some ass, and you SBG out there. All right, and offensive linemen, you keep doing your thing. I am one of the biggest advocates. Okay, you may not get your name in the paper. If there's even a paper anymore nowadays. You may not get your name out there as much as all these guys, but guess what? Angel Munoz will not have done his stats up there for 248 yards, all those TDs, all that kick, all of that stuff, if it wasn't for Devin Quintana and the offensive line there. So that's what I got to say about that. I mean, O-line, keep doing your thing out there everywhere, all across the board. And shout out to the Soaring 7.
Yeah, great job, guys. Going on, top 10, we'll run through it real quick. Pebble Hills wins. They remain on top. Pebble Spartans, number 1. Franklin Cougars win. They're number 2. Riverside Rangers win. They're number 3. Eastwood Troopers get that big victory. Offensive firepower, number 4. Del Valle Conquistadoras blank the Chapin Huskies, and they go at number 5. Eastlake Falcons get that last-second field goal victory over the Americas Trailblazers. They stay at number 6. Canutillo gets a big win over Parkland. They're at number 7. Bel Air remains undefeated, so they move up in the rankings a little bit at number 8. America's lost a close one to the Eastlake Falcons. They go to number 9. And Parkland loses a hard-fought battle to the Canutillo Eagles, and they drop to number 10. On the outside looking in, you have the Mountwood Rams, the Austin Panthers after that big victory, and look at this, the Anthony Wildcats.
Anthony doing big things out there.
You guys keep doing your thing. You're going to get the respect you deserve. So shout out to everybody in our Prep 1's top 10. Like I said, ball out next week, and we'll see how things go. Granted, it might be a little shaky when you got a lot of teams having buys and things like that, but it is what it is. You got to play the schedule you're dealt. So let's go through our picks. We don't have a whole lot of games this week, but we got some that we can go through. And like I mentioned, at the 4A level, you got everybody going to district now. So 4A has to find some teams to play outside of the city.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part. Every now and then, of course, you have other teams that they might be available, but let's look at what we got here. So we got the Austin Panthers taking on the Dumas Demons. I liked what I saw from Austin, man. I like Jaden Wilson. It was impressive from what we saw, but usually Dumas has a team. They're usually pretty loaded, and
Austin's going out there to them.
I'm gonna say, this one's gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna say Dumas is gonna take this. Plus, how many times do you play against demons? That's a pretty cool mascot to say. Going up against the demons,
I know, right? I'm gonna agree, Ryan. I'm gonna say Dumas. I think just the travel for Austin, coming off a big rivalry week I don't know. I don't see Austin coming out on this one on top.
Next up, you got Franklin Cougars versus the Mountwood Rams, a game that I think could be a pretty high scoring affair. I think it'll actually be closer than a lot of people think. Mountwood's one of those teams that they're up on the rise. They've got some great athletes. Just lack a little bit to really pull out those victories. It's like they run out of gas, if you will. But they're right there. But I'm going to say Franklin Cougars win this one, but in a high scoring affair.
I agree, Ryan. This game, both these teams like to air the ball out. They do. They like to put on a show with their passing game. But I think Franklin just right now, they have the better receivers, the better quarterback, better offensive line. I mean, we saw them in person, and these boys are big. They are all across the board. They have the size, the speed, the talent. So I think Franklin will come out on top. But I agree. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, and I think it's going to be a lot closer than everyone thinks.
Definitely. You got the Eastlake Falcons versus the Socorro Bulldogs, and I don't think there's really much for us, either one of us, to say about this. When I say Eastlake Falcons are going to run away with this one.
Yeah, easily. I think Eastlake will win this one. This is the matinee game also, so this will be at 4 p.m. So if you're off on that day, there you go. You got an early game that day.
You got the Alpine Fighting Bucks against the Tornillo Coyotes. Tornillo's just lacking a lot on all sides of the ball. Alpine, I feel, is going to run away with this one.
Yeah, I think Alpine too. Tornillo just has too many struggles they're having to work through.
In what is probably, if it was played here locally, would probably be the game of the week and the Prep1 game of the week. This is a big, big matchup at the 4A/3A level. You have the state-ranked number 14 Riverside Rangers against the state-ranked number 7 Bushland Falcons. So that is 14 in Class 4A versus number 7 in Class 3A. This is an interesting one, man. This is one of those that is really going to test and show who Riverside really is, okay? I'm hoping that neither team in this matchup has any injuries. They're going into this game healthy, and we're going to get to see, two of the best teams in both classifications go at it. And it's one of those that, everybody always says, it's like, oh, but they're 3A and therefore, at this level, it doesn't matter, man. When you're a top 10 team in your classification in the state, it doesn't matter. I mean, I was looking at Bushland's schedule. They were beating teams like Canadian and stuff, teams that we see
in the state title every year.
Yeah, year in, year out. And this is going to be a tough test. This is not one of those where you think, oh, this team is 3A. No, this is a legit 3A powerhouse team this year. And it's at a toss-up. I'm an ex-Ranger myself, so
I was about to say, what does the ex-Ranger alum say?
So, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm going with my alma mater. Riverside Rangers are gonna Speedy Munoz, Devin Quintana, Jose Guardado, Adrian Estrada, Tristan Lopez, all of them, everybody in offense, they're going to put on their offensive show. Will probably not be as explosive as they usually are, but I feel they'll grind out a close victory. I'm going to say Riverside Rangers in this one.
I'm going to go homer on this one. I'm going to support the home team for this game. I'm going to say Riverside Rangers as well. But if we are both wrong, look for this to be the only blemish on Riverside's schedule this year. Definitely.
But you know what? And it's one of those where a blemish like this is
not really. Yeah, it's
not
look for this to be the fuel for them in playoffs.
Definitely. This is one of those that gets you ready. You had like Eastwood Troopers, Julio Lopez scheduling, South Lake Carroll. This is like Riverside scheduling, one of the top teams to play too. Love it. Horizon Scorpions or Del Valle Conquistadores. Oof. I'm not going to say anything other than Del Valle.
Del Valle. Del Valle is a top dog right now, so it's going to be Del Valle.
In a game that I'm going to be covering for ESPN 600 Football Friday nights, I will be out live at the San Elizario Eagles versus the Faven Wildcats game. Going on a far drive out of the county, but definitely going to see a pretty good matchup, I think, between two county opponents out there. Tune into ESPN 600 and listen
Mhm.
for commentary and any updates that I might have to give. But I'm going to go with probably the Fabian Wildcats on this one.
I'm gonna go with Fabens as well. Sanelli, they're struggling a little bit. They've had some decent showouts, but I think Fabens is gonna get their first district win on this one.
Definitely. Out in the Northeast, you have the Isleta Indians taking on the Parkland Matadors. At this point, I didn't think I was going to say this, but I feel like this one's going to be all Parkland Matadors in this one.
Yeah, I think and Isleta just kind of after that Riverside game, they haven't really shown where they were at that game. So I think Parkland's just gonna be too much for them.
Yep. Going also on to District 5A again, you got the Bel Air Highlanders versus the Hanks Knights. Without Hanks running back, I feel like
Mhm.
it's going to be a long season now for Hanks. I thought they were going to be one of those
Mhm.
teams that could be fighting for that last playoff spot, but at this point, I think the Bel Air Highlanders run away with this one in a pretty lopsided victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the few weeks where we're really going to agree on a lot of these picks there, Ryan. Bel Air, Hanks is not going to be a pushover, but I look for Bel Air if there's ever a game that they need to put the numbers up, that they need to prove that they are the real deal. This is one of those games.
Eastwood Troopers, Coronado Thunderbirds. Again, I like Coronado, man. I like what they've been doing this year. They're showing that they're on the come up. This may not
Hmm.
be their year, but they're showing progress. Again, it's hard to bet against Eastwood's firepower. Evan Minhades, I feel, is going to light up the
Hmm.
scoreboard, and Eastwood's going to come out on top on this one pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, Eastwood will come out on top on this one, but like you said, Coronado, they're kind of similar in a way of what we said about Irvin earlier. They have a lot of young guys on this team that are starting. They're putting up numbers and stuff. They just haven't quite clicked there. So yeah, I mean, look for Coronado to be on the up and coming, But
Mhm.
I say Eastwood's going to get this one.
I'll let you do this preview because I
Yes,
believe this
so
is the
this
one year.
one, like Ryan mentioned earlier, we're in collaboration with Football Friday Nights on ESPN 600 here in El Paso. I will be out at this game at Beatty Samang Stadium, where Cathedral will visit the Bowie Bears. So if you're out in the Fabens area, go see Ryan out there. If you're out there in the south side of Bowie, go see me out there. This one.
Bring food to the press box. Will
Bring
be
food to the press box and some beverages, please, of non-alcoholic persuasion, por favor.
Jerry, you might need a couple bottles of water just going up that
I
Bowie
know I'm
Stadium.
going to be doing stadiums out there at Bowie, so look for us out there. So for Cathedral Bowie, honestly, this is going to be one of those games I really think could potentially, if you look at all the games here, is one of your games of the week because we said earlier consistency. Both these teams haven't really been consistent all year. Bowie has had some tough opponents. Cathedral hasn't really because they have one opponent in common that they played already, Anthony. Both of them lost in close games to Anthony. So this is going to be a fun game to watch. I really think it's going to come down to the wire. I think my Fighting Irish are going to come out on top on this one coming off of a Sanelli win. Okay. I gotta say Cathedral, again, Bowie is not a rollover team. They're struggling this year. They're struggling, but Bowie has always been one of those teams to watch out for. So I think this is gonna be a good game, but we'll see. Maybe maybe it turns out differently, but I say Cathedral will take this one.
All right. Well, I flipped my coin while you were talking, and I got. I mean, that's really what it comes down to me. I think it's one of
Yeah.
those 50-50s, and I got Bowie Bears, so Bowie Bears in this one.
I think this is one of those pretty on paper, well matched up
Yep.
games of the year.
Now, this one I don't think will be a on paper well matched up game, and I'm
No.
hoping you get to finally see the Chapin Huskies get
Yes.
things rolling. Chaparral Lobos don't have much; they haven't been doing well all year. Chapin has not been doing very well all year, but I
Mm-mm.
still would venture to think that Chapin's got a whole lot more firepower than Chaparral Lobos. I'm hoping this is one of those
Mhm.
games that kind of turns things around for them and they get rolling and pick up that victory. I'm going Chapin Huskies.
Yeah, I think Chapin needs to really use this game. I'm going to go with them too. Use this game as their stepping stone going into district to really get going in the right direction.
El Paso High, obviously they've got some injuries going on with
Mhm.
them. But, they had a bye week last week. They had this tough one against Austin. Now they're taking on the Irvin Rockets. This could be the game that they need to help get healthy
Mhm.
before they get into district play. Irvin Rockets, so we've mentioned it before, young team. They really don't have much going for them. And if El Paso has to continue going on with their sophomore quarterback, they get another week of practice and another game experience to get him rolling. Because you and I both saw he had flashes here and
Mhm.
there. So, and I still would say El Paso's the better team in this one. I'm going to go El Paso Tigers over the Irvin Rockets.
Like I said, Ryan, we're not going to really disagree too much this week. I'm going to go El Paso High on this one. I really think, this is another game that they could use to really get going again back into the right direction. Austin left a bad taste in their mouth, especially in the battle for the claw. You never want to come off of a week playing a team that just lost to the rival, especially a team like El Paso High, who's really rolling this year. So, yeah, I look for El Paso High to win big, in my opinion.
Ooh, big victory, huh?
Big.
You're
Mhm.
putting it out there already.
Mhm.
Final game of I guess the entire schedule. You got the Pebble
Yes.
Hill Spartans versus the America's Trailblazers. Probably going to be the game that ends the latest since it's that second game out at the SAC.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun one. I know Pebble Hills is the number one team, and I know they've got Gael Ochoa and they've got Ledesma, and they got everybody, Julia Boast, they've got everybody, but in 6A, they're just always fun matchups, man. You've got
Mhm.
teams that are, you had East Lake Americas play that close one. I feel like Americas is still gonna give Pebble Hills a game. I don't envision this one being a huge blowout,
Mhm.
but I do think Pebble Hills Spartans are gonna come out on top. I'm thinking somewhere around the 35-20 range, something like that. But I'm saying Pebble Hills Spartans, but in a fun one to
Okay.
watch.
I say uh Pebble Hills. I say Pebble Hills as well. But America's like you said, you touched on it, right. America's is one of those teams that every year under Coach Melton, they're sleepers. They may start off slow, but then all of a sudden they're in it at the end of the year. They may start off strong, but then those games that they're losing, they're in them. They're right there. So they're one of those little. They come at you. They come at you from where you least expect it. I just thought of this, Ryan. How about this? Since we agreed on pretty much almost all of these games here, you know,
Oh, the big one.
okay, we agreed on almost all of these games here. How about we do this? Let's make a score prediction. Whoever gets the closest score wins this week. Let's do that.
Oh, hold on. Now I gotta go back. Let me really solidify my score here. Let's go. Let's see. Guyla's gonna hit a couple. Marcus Torres, Joe Bost, Joe Ledesma. It's 4, 5. Okay, we're gonna go 35 points by the Pebble Hill Spartans
Okay.
and 24 America's Trailblazers. 35-24.
35-24. Okay. I'm gonna kind of price this right to you a little bit, and I'm gonna go 42 by the Pebble Hill Spartans. I'm gonna go 42, and then I'm gonna say 28 for Americas. I think they might just give it that. They might sneak a couple more in. So I'm gonna say
You
42-28.
pulled the $1 on me, man.
Yes, that's what I'm gonna do right there. So
You put the
42-28.
$1
That's
on
what
me.
I'm saying right there. All right, so we'll leave it at that. 42-28, and you said what? 35-24. 35-24. All right.
Okay. So yeah, about the same margin of victory and stuff. But I think again,
Yeah.
like I said, that's gonna be a fun one to watch,
Mhm.
definitely. Um, so like I said, had a lot to talk about. There was a lot going on. You mentioned in the
Mhm.
cross country world, they're getting ready for these
Yes.
pre-district warm-ups as we get ready for district regional meets coming up in
Mhm.
early October. Volleyball, a lot of big close games to
Coming
watch
down to
this
the
week.
wire,
You
yeah.
got them Franklin Coronado, the rubber match. You got Burgess and El Paso. So those are going to be some fun ones. And football, not a lot of exciting top 1 versus 2 games this
Mhm.
week because you got a lot of teams having their
Yeah.
bye weeks, but there is that
It's
number
mid-season.
7. Yeah, you got the number 7, number 14 in the state
Mhm.
Riverside Birchland matchup. Out at the SAC, you got America's Pebble Hills. Lot of still entertaining games to watch and stuff. And if you guys, again, shout out, if you guys are tuning in on the radio, listen out for us on ESPN 600 Football Friday nights. Again, I'll be out at Fabian, Sanelli, covering that game. Jerry, you'll be at?
I will be at Cathedral Bowie out at Bading Cement Stadium out of Bowie High School. So check me out there. Listen for us on ESPN 600. Again, to just touch on, we mentioned it earlier. All you tennis golf players, be on the lookout. And right now it's real fun, Ryan. I'm glad to see it. You said it. Cross country's coming down to the wire. Volleyball's coming down the wire. We've gotten over that football midseason hump. Woo! Let's see what's up next.
Yeah, I agree. And before we go, make sure that you like and you subscribe below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, make sure you like, share it, leave a 5-star comment, 5-star review. These are all the things that help the channels grow. And could make sure to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. Look out for us. That's about all I got to say. Any final words?
I'll just like, subscribe, share us. Love the support, guys. Keep it up. And SBG.
Show up, ball out,
get noticed.